Hello, ladies. Today I want to discuss a very sensitive topic: how women become prostitutes, how women get pimped in the US. When many people think about prostitutes, they often put them in an other category. They often think that those women are nothing like them, nothing like the women they know, nothing like their daughters. They don't realize that it is very easy for the average woman to fall into manipulation, to become a prostitute, and yes, to have a pimp. Um, we don't like to think about this. And by putting these women in the other category, mothers fail to warn their daughters about the danger of becoming manipulated and, yes, becoming pimped by a man. Um, Today, I just want to go over some ways in which men pimp women and how easy it is. What guys usually do when they have these kind of objectives is they tend to seek out insecure women. And it's not the obvious insecurities that you would assume, such as a woman who is ashamed of her looks. But when a guy is scouting for a prostitute, scouting for someone to manipulate, he often looks for a woman who is younger. That usually helps. So a woman who's younger, either late teens or early 20s, um, even younger than that sometimes, because these women tend to have more insecurities, they're more naive, and easier to be played. So a guy would usually approach any woman that they felt would be a good candidate. They would look at a woman from afar. Sometimes these pimps, they watch a woman in the neighborhood, or, they watch a woman for a while, kind of like hunting. They're seeking out their prey. So what they do is they'll be watching the same woman day after day. And then, by watching someone, you're able to observe patterns in that person that will tell you whether this woman has obvious insecurities. And what they will do is they approach that woman, and just like any other male female or dating relationship, they will court that woman. So they take her out to dates, they show her money, they spend money on her, they make her feel like a queen. Now, the dynamic between a pimp and a prostitute is not much different than that of someone who's involved in an abusive relationship. There's a lot of manipulation involved in coercing a woman to be okay with the idea of being a prostitute and handing over all her money to some guy. So, as I mentioned before, just like a manipulative guy will make sure that he seeks out women with low self esteem, low self worth, obviously daddy issues, a woman who's not that attractive sometimes, a woman who they know probably didn't get a lot of attention. They will look at all those things, and pimps tend to ignore those women who are highly confident. They will ignore those women. They will not even approach those women unless they're brave. um, so what they do is they look for anyone with with insecurities, either about their looks, about money, about their personality, their intelligence, their education, even their likability, anything, any insecurity that they can find. And why they tend to focus on younger women, well, for several reasons, right? But one major reason is that younger women, they haven't figured out who they are, what they want, and those women tend to be filled with anxiety and more insecurities than older women. So these guys can spot these insecurities from a mile away. Before you even open your mouth to say one word to these guys, they look at your body language. And as you know, body language reveals most of your personality to a man. So once the guy spots the type of woman that he wants to engage with, he will invite her out for a date just like any other relationship. And what he does then is just shower her with praises. He puts her on that pedestal. He idealized this woman. He makes sure that she feels wine and dined. A lot of the times he will do something special. So if he knows that this woman is not used to going to fancy restaurants, he'll bring her to the best restaurant in town. He'll get a nice table. He will flash some money. He'll usually show a lot of money in the way he dress. He'll wear expensive jewelry, clothing, name brands so that a woman could see that. Also, he'll have an expensive car. All those things that just shows money. He'll be her dream guy. It's like any other guy who wants to get into a relationship with a woman to manipulate them. So he's gonna show her that she just won the prize while treating her as if she is the prize, by telling her how beautiful she is, how smart. Oh my gosh, he's never met anyone else like her. She is it. So he'll quickly do that. So what he'll do is he'll try to spend as much time as possible with her really soon. So instead of allowing a normal relationship to develop with this woman, he will rush everything along. He will try to have her booked up for the week. He'll call her right away. He won't even wait a day to call her. He will be texting with her. He'll call her that same night. He just showers her with all this attention, and most likely she's never received this from any other guy. Most guys that she probably dated in the past, they didn't call her right away. They made her wait. They didn't shower her with all these praises and admiration, and they didn't put her so far on the pedestal. And everything she does, he will praise it. Everything she says will be so clever. Her jokes will be funny. She will be the most beautiful woman on the planet. You get my point. He'll put her on that pedestal far, far, far up. And the fall will be great when he knocks her off that pedestal. So another thing he does is he will try to rush her into sex. He wants to get on to that sexual relationship as fast as possible. And, the sooner he can get her into bed, the better. He'll try to get her into bed that same night if possible. And his plan there is to break her down, to push her boundaries. If she's a woman who's not comfortable with sleeping with a guy on the first date, he wants to be that exception. He wants to get her in bed right away. So after he's gotten her in bed, then he wants to push her sexual boundaries. Now, it may not happen on the first night that they are together, but eventually he will push that boundary. He'll try to introduce things that she's uncomfortable with and get her hooked, push her boundaries and get her hooked into that sexual relationship with him very, very fast. While he's doing this, he is telling her how special she is, how he's never met anyone else like her, how he's in love, and he will drop that L word very quickly. As we all know, we're not stupid. It's not possible to love someone after 2-3 dates. Yes, it's possible to become infatuated with them after 2-3 dates or even months. It takes time to love someone. So if someone's telling you that they're madly in love with you and you've been on 2 dates with them and how the sun shines out of your ass, you want to be careful. These are red flags. So what he'll do is, while he is putting her high on that pedestal, he is just making her feel like a queen. And then the next thing he does after he tells her how much he's in love and how much she's the best woman, she's everything he's ever wanted, the next thing that he'll do to confuse her is he'll knock her right off that pedestal. So remember, he built up that pedestal pretty damn high. So what he'll do is he'll knock her down off the pedestal. And how he'll do that is he won't do it in a drastic way. He will start to point out her flaws. And if she doesn't have any real flaws, which we all do, but if she doesn't have any obvious flaws, he'll just make up something. So he'll either say, "Oh my gosh, why do you laugh like that? Why do you smile like that? Oh, I don't like your personality. You talk too much." He'll find something. And usually the way these guys start out is they say it in a joke, like, "Oh my gosh, your laugh is so crazy. Ha ha ha." So they start out like, "Oh my gosh, I could see the rolls on you. Look at your stomach." They'll make it playful at first. And then it will get more serious where they're like, "Oh my gosh, you really need to get to the gym," for instance, to "You're fat, you look disgusting." So that will escalate. They'll turn up the heat there. So they start out with your insecurities, and if they don't see any, they'll create them. If you are a very pretty girl, they will tell you how you're not that pretty, how their ex was prettier, in another way, just to make you insecure. They'll create insecurities where none existed, or they will deepen insecurities that already exist. So that's what they do. So anything that they can do to tear you down. Um, so then after he completely devalues you or points out your insecurities, all of a sudden you guys will have a huge argument, and it will be over something that's very petty. So you said something, you made a joke, anything that he can find. This is a part of his plan in breaking you. This whole thing is set up to break you down. So he'll start a fight over something so silly, and you will be left confused because you can't believe that he started a fight with you over eating the last cookie, for instance. It will be that silly. And he will blow up, and his anger will be out of this world, and it will not match up with what was done. So this will leave you very confused. At this point, he'll get so angry, and he will not call you for a couple days. He'll ignore you for a couple days, and then he'll come back around. And after that, he will, maybe not even tell you that he's sorry, or maybe he will. And then he will get back into praising you. So you see the cycle of idealization and devaluation. Idealization, he does that for a while, keeping you confused and uncertain in the relationship. He might even break up with you a couple times in a, blaming you for every single thing that's going wrong. And to you, this is all confusing because in the beginning you were perfect, and now you have all these flaws that you never even realized that you have. You never knew that your two front teeth were too big. You never knew that your lips were too big, that your hair is too straight. You never knew all these things about yourself until he's now pointing them out. And he points out a new flaw all the time, and he needles away at it to keep you insecure. So what this is doing is this cycle is called intermittent reinforcement, and this will create a bond between the two of you. It will create confusion in you where you're uncertain about your relationship. It will make you focus all your energy that should be focused on other areas of your life. You will now focus everything on this guy, trying to figure him out, trying to figure out what you did wrong, why you're not perfect anymore, why you fell from grace. You're going to focus all your time on this. So what that does is tells the brain that you're in love with this guy, when it's probably not true, because you're focusing all your energy. He consumes your brain and consumes your life, and you feel like you can't live without him. So this is what this is going to do. This abuse cycle creates a bond between the people involved. So and you become addicted to this cycle. Now remember, he's not going to only be completely abusive to you, because if someone was just completely abusive with never being nice, never treating you kind, you would just leave him, right? So he cannot be completely abusive to you. He has to sprinkle in that charm every now and then, be nice to you, do nice things for you every now and then. But then you notice that the abuse becomes more and more and becomes a greater part of your relationship over time. So he will keep this cycle going by being nice and then being an asshole over time to you. So the next thing he will do is, this whole time while he's doing all this, he's pushing your sexual boundaries. He's telling you that he wants to try new things in the bedroom. He's asking you to go to strip clubs with him. He takes you to strip clubs. He's having you get lap dances. He's having you kiss the girl. He's he's just trying to push you. He's telling you that women with morals and values, are prudes and cold and undesirable. He's telling you all this to program you into a way of thinking. So what he'll do next is he will try to introduce other people into your relationship. He'll either ask you if he can bring another woman into the bedroom or one of his male friends. So that's a huge red flag, ladies. If a man ever suggests a three-way with one of his friends, you know that he does not love you, he does not care about you. A guy who loves you and cares about you will could never stand the idea of another one of their friends touching you. Think about it as when you're a kid, you have this favorite toy. You love this toy. You would not let anyone play with this toy. You would not let anyone touch this toy. But if you had another toy that you really didn't care about, you didn't care if you lost it, if you kept it, it was just one of those, then you would just let anyone play with it, right? You wouldn't care if one of your friends wanted to have it. You would say, sure, you can have it. Go ahead. Play with it. You would not care. And that's the same way you got to think about a relationship. If a man loves you, yeah, okay, some guys might want to have a three-way with another female, and that does not mean that it might means that they don't love you at the moment, or they want to be adventurous because another female, right? It's a fantasy for most guys. But if they want to bring another man into that situation, run. It means they don't care about you. So he will do that. And it usually takes a woman a while to get accustomed to the idea of that. So he will over time just make suggestions, and then those suggestions will become demands. After a while, it will be, oh, you don't care about me, you don't love me, or you would do this. I just want to try something new. Why are you such a prude? He will go through all of that with you. So be careful of that. Another thing, if you're not willing to be with him and his friend, he might even break up with you, telling you that you don't love him. Now, if he breaks up with you and you move on with your life, then he doesn't care. He'll cut his loss, because remember, these guys who are pimps, who are players, they tend to have multiple relationships. They're working on multiple relationships at a time. They're in different stages of relationships with different people. So they don't care about you. You're just another one of those women you can get gone. But if you come crawling back, then he's got you under his thumb, and that you're going to be willing to do anything to prove to him that you love him. So at that point, when he gets you back, is when he knows your emotions is high, and that you are going to try to do anything to win him over again. So that's when he'll right away get you to hook up with him and his friend. Once he's got you to do that, he knows he's got you, like I said, under his thumb. And a man could never love you after they watch you hook up with their friend. They'll never respect you. Even if they stay with you, they can't respect you after that. So just remember that. Don't try to be the cool chick. So once he gets you to have that three-way with his friend, then another thing will happen. There will be some sort of emergency. It's a planned emergency where he needs money for something. Something's happening. If you have a regular job, he'll ask you for $500. He just asks you for money to see what you'll say. And then once you give that to him, then he will have another emergency where he needs some money. And if you have a regular job, that will happen. If you don't have a job, you don't have the money to give him, he will have all these emergencies where he needs money, and then he'll suggest that you go make some extra money as a bartender, as a stripper, anything like that. And if you take the bait, if you say, okay, I'm gonna go on to become a stripper, then he'll move it to, why don't you sleep with guys for money just this once, and out of the bloom, he'll have a guy ready to sleep with you for money. And he'll push you to do that just once because I need money for this thing and I'm in emergency. And once again, if you don't do it, he'll dump you. And if you do it, he's got you. That's the bait. That's the hook. You've taken the hook. There's always some kind of reason why he needs you to sleep with a guy. We need money, we're about to get kicked out of our apartment, or oh my gosh, I need to do this thing, or I owe someone a lot of money and they're threatening to kill me, so I need you to go sleep with people for money. It'll be an emergency, trust me. So once you start to do that once, he will allow it to be once a month, once a week, every couple of days, and then sooner or later you wake up one day and you're a prostitute and he's your pimp. And how he convinces you to give him all your money is with that, oh, I need the money to do this with or do that with. It's emergencies, right? So he'll also tell you that he needs you to turn over all your money to him because he wants to protect you. He'll tell you, oh honey, you just have to do this for a little while. If you do this for a little while longer, then we'll be okay and you can stop. But days will turn into weeks, will turn into months, will turn into years, will turn into decades before you stop. Trust. So don't listen to him. So the whole pattern is he wins you over, he finds your insecurities, he comes on way too strong, he rushes the relationship along, he starts talking about love, he pushes your sexual boundaries, he has emergencies where he needs you to do something for money that he needs a lot of money, more than you make at work, so now you need to go do something on the side to get that money. That's how he gets you. Now remember, a man can pimp you without putting you on the street. They can also have you just working your job and paying for all the bills by convincing you that they can't work because of certain issues, convincing you that they need your money to do this, do that, and it comes to the point where you're working your regular job and you're handing over all your money to this man, paying all his bills, etc. This does happen too. So because a man does not put you on the corner does not mean he's not playing you. Okay? So that's it for now. I know this was heavy. I do want to actually, before we go, I would like to give you some ways how you can avoid being pimped. Number one, look out for these warning signs. Look at the pattern. If a man is showing you the patterns that I discussed earlier, run. If a man is putting you too far on that pedestal, just keep your eyes open to see what's going to happen. Another thing is, don't rush into a sexual relationship too soon. Sex ties people together. I know a lot of women who are in terrible relationships who stay in those relationships because of good sex and because they feel a bond with someone. So I would stay away from that. If a man is abusive at all to you, if he starts to pick at little things that you do, that you say, picks on you all the time, even as a joke, keep your eyes open. If a man abuses you physically, of course, run. Don't stay with that. If he verbally abuses you, that's no good either. So leave him. Don't do anything with a man that you're not comfortable with doing in the bedroom. Don't let him convince you that if you loved him, you would do this or that or the other. Love has nothing to do with it. If he loves you, he'd want you all to himself. He wouldn't want to share you with anyone else, not even another female. He would want you. He'd value you. Know yourself and work on your insecurities so they cannot be exploited. In this world, insecurities are exploited by others. If someone sees that you're insecure about something, they will use that to gain control over you. And then another thing you could do is just learn the game. Learn how men manipulate women. Subscribe to channels such as this one, such as others. Read books on the subject. You have to inform yourself. Talk to your daughters about this. Learn more about it and talk to your daughters about how men manipulate them. right? How they can fall into becoming a prostitute or just supporting a man or being in an abusive relationship. Because the same steps that a man would take to get you to become a prostitute, he'll get you to be in an abusive relationship. It's the same thing. It's manipulation and control. So, um, I hope this helps someone, and I will definitely do a follow-up to this video. Please leave a comment. Thank you.